Welcome, everyone, to Influential Leadership Tips. I'm John Hadley.
And I'm Dave Miller. And John, I wanted to talk about something today. I read something interesting and looking at two elements of an individual that may affect their performance. And I want to talk about purpose and I want to talk about passion.
Okay.
So if you had to choose one, if you were going to have, what do you think drives performance more? Someone that feels a lot of purpose or someone that feels a lot of passion?
I'd always go for passion because
Yeah.
I think that motivates you, that gives you the inner drive. A purpose is really good, but a purpose without passion, I'm just not going to get that much behind.
Yeah, and that's what I would think too. Now, there's a book called Great at Work, How Top Performers Work Less and Achieve More by a University of California, Berkeley professor named Morton Hansen. And what he did was he surveyed 5,000 employees and managers to understand the makeup of star performers. And he explored this distinction between purpose and passion. Now, just to define things, let's define purpose as the sense you are contributing to others, that your work has a broader meaning.
Okay.
Passion would be the feeling of excitement or enthusiasm you have about your work. So what he found, and obviously, the best scenario would be to have both, right? To have a lot of passion and feel a lot of purpose. And they found that's where your highest performers reside, at like the 80th percentile of performance. And obviously, if you have neither one, that's where they found the really poor performers, the 10th percentile, had low purpose and low passion. So now you ask the question, what if employees only have one trait? Who would perform better, the passionate or the purposeful? So what he found, he looked at passion first. So those with high passion but didn't feel a lot of purpose. And he found that they were at the 20th percentile of performance, which was a pretty shocking result. They were actually poor performers. And then he looked at those with low passion but high purpose, and he found they were at the 64th percentile. So the outcome is clear that purpose trumps passion, and I was kind of surprised by that. And by the way, graduation speakers, take note. It's not pursue your passion, it's pursue your purpose.
Yeah, interesting.
And I think part of the reason is because passion can be so individualistic, where purpose you can really unite a team around something. And that's kind of the thing I think to our leaders out there to think about. How can you cultivate purpose in your organization? And in the book, I talked about, in another tip, the power of moments. I had to go look at the side to see that title. He gives some examples here that I wanted to just talk through that kind of illustrate this point. So the one is, this was a community recreation center, and they divided 32 paid lifeguards into two groups. The first group, which he calls the personal benefit group, read 4 stories that described how other lifeguards had benefited down the road from the skills they acquired on the job.
Okay.
The second group, we call the meaning group, read 4 stories about other lifeguards rescuing drowning swimmers. Now, the difference between the two groups was striking. The meaning group of lifeguards voluntarily signed up for 43% more hours of work in the weeks that followed the intervention. The stories had increased their interest in the work. And they also had a 21% more increase in helping behaviors. So that's one example. Another example that I thought was interesting, a couple other ones said when radiologists were shown photos of their patients whose x-rays they were scanning, they increased both the raw number and the accuracy of their scans. When nurses assembling surgical kits met the caregiver who would use the kits, they worked 64% longer than a control group and made 15% fewer errors.
Yeah, it makes sense because it's like it's personalizing it. I'm not just doing this in general. I'm now doing it to help this specific person or patient, and that would add a lot of meaning to it.
Yeah, you're connecting to the meaning. That's right. That's the exact word. So the idea is, as a leader, when you're dealing with your workers, the people that work around you, the more, and for yourself as well, the more you can connect them, connect yourself to what you're contributing to the greater good, the better performance you're going to have, and the better performance you're going to get out of them.
The other thing that might be in terms of the way you try and make that connection. If the connection is, I'm helping this corporation make more money, it may not have that meaning. But if it's a connection to how this is helping customers like this, benefit in this way, or this is, it's helping this particular group, personalize it more, it'll be more engaging.
Yeah, absolutely. When I coach people in sales, it's pretty common for people to feel awkward a lot of times about selling, because they think of selling as, I'm manipulating someone so I can get paid a commission. Mm-hmm. And I say, well, really, good sales is all about helping the other person make a good decision. And if that's really where you're coming from and you think of it that way, it's amazing how different that energy feels in the sales thing. And that's kind of the same thing. And that gets people excited about going out and selling, because they say, I believe in the product I'm selling or the service I'm selling. And they connect to that meaning of it really helping people. It's not just to make a living.
Yep.
So again, homework assignment for leaders out there: reflect on how you get your folks, your team, to unite around a purpose. That's my tip. Think about that. We'll see you next week.
And until then, be influential.